Hi everybody, I thought it would be helpful to give you all a bit of information about Lottie's first proposed race at Doncaster on Friday. First things first, we wouldn't run her if it was too quick. If it was really too firm, she definitely wouldn't run. We would like to see the ground as good for a first opportunity. Phil will be going and walking the course and make sure the ground is safe, as we do think she probably wants a bit of giving the ground. I'm going to go through the race for you all, just to be effective really. There's 27 entries and it's a fillies novice stakes. They can have one, it's not a maiden, so it can be any filly that can have been sold at auction or bred by the owner, and anything that's a novice for this season can run in this race. Now, when you have a young horse on the flat, you have to run them 3 times to get a handicap mark, or twice if you're placed twice, and then the handicapper will give you a mark. Now, the majority of horses, probably, I imagine 95% of horses, have to run in handicaps, because only the very elite of horses, both over jumps and on the flat, are really capable of winning a decent quality maiden, particularly at a Grade 1 track such as Doncaster. Now, we'd liked to have ran Lottie in an auction maiden, which allows horses that have been by a stallion whose progeny possibly make 50,000 at the sales or 30,000 at the sales as the top end of the horses that can run in those races. However, with Lottie being by Camelot, he has a very high sale percentage, so she can't run in any auction maiden races. She has to run the elite of these novice races until she gets a handicap mark. So it's quite nice that we can run her in a filly, so she's against her own sex. There isn't many of these races that aren't at big tracks, so she has to go to a decent track, Doncaster, which is a lovely galloping track for her first start. It's over 1.2 miles. Phil thinks she's probably at least 1.5 miles horse, but we're making a start over 1.2 miles, and she's probably done more than we would normally do work-wise for one having a first start, because we realise she's quite up against it in the class of horse that she's going to be taking on. So I'm going to give you a bit of a rundown. I've gone through the horses in the race just briefly, just to give you, really, to put you in the picture of what sort of task our filly has on Friday, and we're going to be very realistic about how she's going to perform, with keeping an eye on the future, and hopefully she'll progress each time. So I'm going to go through the horses that have been sold at the sales. There's a certain portion have been sold at the sales. A certain portion are homebred by some of the big yards. And we'll start with number 2, Free Wind. She is a filly that has ran twice. She's been 4th on the all-weather and then 1st. She's trained by John Gosden. Now, she cost $325,000 at the sales. So I'm sure they're pretty glad that she won the second time up. And I'm fairly sure she'll be one of the favourites on Friday. Heading down to number 4, Alyara. She was a £65,000 sale purchase for Berks, and she's run twice. She's been unplaced and she's been 5th, so she obviously showed some progression on her next start. Down to number 6, Blue Water Lady. She cost $105,000, so she obviously was born in America. She came over here. She's another Burke horse. Now, $105,000, you'd be quite disappointed. You started at 16-1 and 25-1 for your first outing, and she was 7th and 4th on her first 2 starts. Okay, we're now going to go down to Chiasma. Now, Chiasma, she's never been to the sale. She's bred by Judd Monty, and this is a very significant entry because Chiasma is a full sister to Frankel. There's not often that we would run in a race with a full sister to Frankel, quite a major thing. She's been 3rd and 2nd on her first 2 starts, and she looks a really nice filly who's a work in progress. She obviously isn't the talent of Frankel, but she's also obviously very decent. So they'll be very keen to get her first next to her name for future breeding purposes as well. Not that it really matters with that breeding. We'll go to Chinook, number 9. She was a £125,000 purchase from the sales for the Crisfords. She hasn't run yet. Next one, Contessa, a Hugo Palmer filly. She made 360,000 but didn't sell at that. She's been 4th and 3rd on her first 2 starts. Fantasizing, Harry Eustace horse. She was sold one of the lower prices, 22,000 at the sales, and she's had 2 seconds so far. Down to Flaunt. Flaunt has not been to the sales, but she's a half-sister to a 2-time Group 1 winner in Lily Langtry. Flaunt's by Frankel. She's that expensive, she would never have gone to the sales. Trained by John Gosden, and she's had 1 start and she was 3rd. Okay, number 14. We haven't got that at the sales. The next one would be ours. It was Happy Go Lottie. Obviously, she's by Camelot. I think she made, I'm just going to go here now, I think she made 11 when Phil purchased her. She was 11,000 at Tats sales on the 31st of January. So obviously, this puts into perspective the sort of horses that we are running against in this race that we're in. Okay, we're going to go to the next one. Lady Rockstar. Lady Rockstar is number 20. She's by Frankel. And she is trained by William Haggis. And she's a half-sister to 3 horses that are rated in the hundreds. 118, 105 and 102. Lady Rockstar's ran twice. And she's been 4th and 2nd. Hasn't been to the sales. Next one, Mrs. Fitzherbert. Made 140,000 at the sales. Trained by Hugh Morrison, and she's been 3rd, 5th and 4th. Next one down. This is an interesting one. Portfolio. She's owned by Her Majesty the Queen and bred by the Queen as well. She's out of a Class 1 dam, first foal. She's trained by Michael Stout, and she's had 4 starts to date, 2nd, 5th, 3rd and 4th. And she's got quite a high RPR in the race, I think the highest of 87. So obviously she sets a very good standard and she has plenty of experience. She's rated 79 on the flat at the moment of the official rating. Next one, Princess Anushka, number 24, made £100,000 at Tattersall's Book 1. She's by the top stallion Kingman, and she hasn't run yet. She's another Crisford horse. Rose Tiara, one of the lesser lights on the sales ring, she made 10,000. Eve Johnson Horton, and she's been 7th and 9th. And the last one to go through the sale ring, Swiss Mistress. She made €240,000 when selling at the French sales. She's run once and she was 4th. Okay, so I think that gives you a bit of a picture of the race. Now, obviously not all of them will run. I imagine they all, for these good horses, want to see a little bit of rain, so it's not too fast. But Doncaster look after the track really well. So we do the declarations on Thursday morning before 10 o'clock, when hopefully we'll be declaring Lottie in that race. Phil hasn't got a jockey yet. He's going to see the best that he can that's available. It would have been quite nice if Dale could have ridden her, but his licence, to get his licence back, that's not through yet, so it won't be Dale on board. And I think what's quite clear is that we will be basically, in a race like that, we are making up the numbers. We've got to be realistic. If Lottie can finish within 20 lengths of some of these fillies, it will be an extremely good start. We'd expect her to be outpaced in that company at the business end of a race. A lot of these horses not only are Group 1 bred, they've also had the experience of racing. So basically, we just want a nice experience for Lottie. She'll be doing her best. She's fit without being overfit. She's still carrying a nice amount of condition that will come off the more she does. And basically, we're expecting her to put her head down and run well, and that's what we think she will do. She will find it all quite an experience, and we're just looking forward to seeing her on the track. Basically, I'd like to think we can find an easier opportunity for the next start, and then we'll have 3 runs, and then hopefully we're still sound. Like it's always the challenge, keeping young horses fit and sound. And at the end of a 3rd race, we will then qualify for a handicap mark, and then we can start looking for a maiden handicap for 3-year-olds, which will be perfect. A filly's maiden handicap, that would be lovely. and we'll go from there. But anyway, I just wanted to give you an idea of the sort of class of race we are going to see on Friday, just so that we don't get too excited, but that we can look forward to seeing her amongst this company, and hopefully she can put in a performance with promise. Thanks, everyone.